From Wall Street to Main Street to help small business owners have the same capital as corporate America and give them the same resources as a larger company. We cover business funding, business credit, scaling, business consulting, and much more. Check out the website at shieldadvisorygroup.com. Welcome to the show, The Liquid Lunch Project.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Liquid Lunch Project. I am Matthew R. Meehan, alongside my partner, Professor Luigi Rosabianca. What's on tap today, Lou?
Matt, today's podcast is very Luigi selfish. I have been trying to unwrap the trade of construction and home renovation and repair for years, ever since that do-it-yourself trend during the pandemic. So we reached out and found Chris Lalomia. He is the home service champion. Chris, give us a state of the union in home repairs, because I got to tell you, of the 350 million Americans, I think 349 million have had some sort of repair done over the last couple of years. Where are we?
We are in a good spot if you're doing home services and if you're working on your house. I think the other thing you'll see nationally is that if you were in business and you were working, how many days a week did you spend outside of your house? That'd be 5. Right? We had to go to work Monday through Friday.
Correct.
And we were home for 2. And then if you were traveling, you were never home. And so now what you're seeing is that most people are getting back in the office maybe 2 to 3 days a week, but it's flipped. You're now in your house 5 days a week and in your office 2. So what's happening is people are starting to realize that their house is being more used and it's becoming an important facet for them for entertainment, for office, for a lot of stuff. And it's becoming that experience that they're looking for. So we're seeing a lot of DIY. We're doing a lot of work not only in the Atlanta area, but I'm part of a national organization, other remodelers, and it's happening everywhere. So what I'm seeing is that a lot of people are realizing that their house is not only just a place to put your head down 2 days a week, that it's a place you're going to have to live maybe 3 and 4 days a week, maybe even 5 days a week, maybe all the time because you don't even go to the office anymore.
So the Handyman, is it a service that's here to stay? I'll take Matt and I for example. If we would have told our fathers 20, 30 years ago to hire a handyman, I think you'd have hammers being thrown at us, right?
Absolutely.
Today, in a generation that is predominantly white-collar service providers, very technologically savvy, they may not have the handyman skill set. So where are we from like a macro socioeconomic level in your business?
Yeah, I think you hit on it. I talk about it like this, outsourcing. You're right. When I told my dad I was doing this, he goes, hey, who's going to buy that? Because that's all we did. That's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing, because I went to my first vacation to Florida. I never even saw the beach. I was 6 years old, and I was helping my dad and my grandfather fix up a condo in Fort Myers Beach, right? So that's what we did. He goes, who's going to hire you? I'm like, people, they don't know what they're doing, Dad. Nobody else knows how to do this stuff anymore. And I believe that. I think everybody's outsourcing a lot of stuff. My first job that I got in business, I had to wear a suit and tie. I had to wear a tie in manufacturing. And the thing I hated to do most was iron my shirts. That's the very first thing I ever outsourced in my life. For $1, I'd have somebody press my shirts. Today, when you look at what people are doing, they're outsourcing everything from food delivery to getting your house cleaned, to getting your car maintenance. So you're not doing that stuff. You're allowing other people to do that service for you, because a lot of people are into the experience of their life now. They want to have a great experience and not have to deal with that.
Now, Chris, from a order standpoint, what is your biggest ticket item? Are people doing kitchen renovations? Are they doing floor resanding and finishing? Like, what's your biggest ticket that you've seen over the last year or so?
So the largest ticket where I'm seeing people invest right now has been in a space that we don't do as much in, and that's outdoor living. Putting the hardscape, putting the grilling station in, putting outdoor pit, because people want to enjoy that. Not only just here in Atlanta, it's happening all across the nation. Now, for me personally in our company, I'm seeing a lot more people getting focused on the maintenance of their homes. So we do a lot of what we call wood rot repair. We have a lot of wood trim, and we have a pretty corrosive environment. It's high temperature, high humidity, a lot of sun beating down on things. So we see that. My thing for us is we're seeing a lot of people update their bathrooms because they're now realizing they're going to stay in their house a lot longer than they thought they were. When I first started in 2008, that's right, during the recession, or right before it started. So timing sucked. But anyway, I got through it. Before that, you'd be in your house for 2 years and going, I'm going to upgrade. You know, I'm going to be in my house for 3 years and I'm going to upgrade. And so they had a renter's mentality. And now people are staying in their houses and expect to stay in their houses longer than 10 years.
Absolutely, because most people have interest rates probably in the 2s and the 3s, and nobody wants to give that up. So you're not going to see anything coming on the market that in any short period of time anyway. Right?
Yeah.
You know, I am like your perfect client because I can't put a nail in the wall. My wife yells at me. Now, my dad did everything around the house, but every time I tried to do something myself, I watched the YouTube videos. I went to go put garage racks up in my garage, right? So we ordered them from Costco. They came in. My wife's like, can you put them up? I'm like, no, just hire somebody because I'm going to mess it up. She goes to work one day. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do this. I watched the YouTube videos, went to Lowe's, bought all the tools because I didn't have any tools, right? Get the first thing up. I get the stud finder. I find it. I'm like, I got this. Let's go. I put the drill through the the sheetrock, right? Hit the stud, but there was a pipe laying on top of that stud from the builder. Next thing you know, there's a waterfall coming down my whole garage, and I didn't know what to do. So it wound up costing me more money anyway at the end of the day. Well, that is why I will always hire a handyman. But with that said, it's hard to find reliable and trustworthy people. I'm the type of guy, if I find somebody, you're my guy. But if it's usually a one-person company or guy and, you know, he has 2 to 3 guys that maybe work with him, they can't always be there when you need them to be there, right? So talk about your company and how you grew it.
Yeah, one of the big things that you just hit on is that you find a guy and he comes in and he fixes your water and then he puts your racks up. You're like, man, this is my guy. Hey, my guy, I want you to go put tile in my bathroom. And you look at the tile job and you're like, man, that looks like crap, but you did this really well. How come you didn't? Because we can't be a master and expert of everything. And that's the deal. So you find somebody to rely on, but maybe they don't have all the skills you're looking for. And on the flip side, when you're good at what you do in the handyman world, you're usually really busy. But if you're out there working with your hands and helping people during the day, you can't answer phone calls, get your next job set up, turn around and invoice people who maybe haven't paid you yet. It's all that back room stuff that these guys really don't like doing. So what I do is invite them into what we call our wolf pack. I say, man, you're a lone wolf. Do what you do best, and that is take care of customers. You just got to do it in our wrapper, the way we do it, and then we train them and let them know that, hey, you go out there and do those good things, and we'll take care of all the rest of it. We'll get you to those jobs. We'll get more jobs. We'll get you out of that job. We'll get you paid every 2 weeks. But they're my employees, and you let them know, hey, we just made your life better. So what I've done is get these guys to buy into our process and how our wolf pack is better than being on their own. And on the flip side, what we do from that with our customers is they might say, hey, Brian's my guy, man. He came in, he did those cabinets. I need him to fix my deck. And our schedule will say, well, you know what? Brian's really good at cabinetry, but we got a guy who's even better at decks. So we're going to send him out. And the customer will say, you know, I like that you guys have a team that can come out and do different things for me. You're now my go-to guy because you got a great team.
Can you open up in Florida? So I can...
Hey, Chris, I would love to ask you on how you manage the third dimension of construction, right? There's the job. There's the second dimension, which is the money, right? Someone's got to pay for this. But then there's the third dimension, that amorphous time element. How do we manage time? Because if you're going to fix Matt's garage and Matt says, I need this done by June 1, I mean, is he pulling his car into that garage on June 2nd? Or is he getting a letter on June 1 saying, oh, by the way, I need a couple more weeks? Because this is something that's very prevalent, not in your business, but in your trade.
Absolutely. It's a pandemic problem. It has always been a problem that you're trying to solve through. In fact, I think the next company I may start may be the company called Give Me 3 More Days Construction. So from the company, just give me 3 more days.
3 more days and 82 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, we got to copyright that right now.
Yeah, that's a good one. It is hard. And what's hard is those same guys I'm talking about are blue collar guys, right? They're really good at what they do, but they're not used to having a timeline. Why do I have to be at the house between 8:30 and 9, Chris? All my other people before I started with you guys didn't mind if I showed up at 11 and worked till 6. And then I explained to them, when you're there at 5 o'clock and she's trying to get ready for dinner, she doesn't really want you there, man. But she won't tell you that to your face because you're a nice guy. You're there getting things done and she needs it done. But if you start earlier and you get out of there earlier, she's going to give you a good review. She may even give you a tip because, oh, good, now everything's done and she can get back to her life. And that's where you got to start to train not only your team, which I feel like that's one of the reasons I have all W-2 employees. I can control the quality and the outcome a lot better. In our remodeling division, I use a lot of subcontractors. And unfortunately, we run up against that, So, we're having a plumber show up on Tuesday. Plumber calls and says, hey, my car broke down. I can give you a million excuses. It's all really that they're doing another job that's making them more money, right? So homeowners don't know that, but we do as remodelers and get into it. So what happens is one day becomes 1 week. And then if we let it go till next week as a project manager, it becomes 2 weeks. And if we let 2 weeks happen, it becomes 4 weeks. That's a month. And you just lost a month because you couldn't get your plumber in on that Tuesday and you didn't react quick enough to get him in. So that's been a hard part. But what we do is try to communicate with our customers, let them know there are periods of activity that it's got to be sequential. This is not a HGTV do-over in 22 minutes with 8 minutes of commercials. It's not going to be done that quick because we got to sequence it correctly to get these guys done.
You started not in a blue-collar industry. You were working with banks. You were in banking, right, prior to 2008. What made you want to leave the banking world in corporate America and go out on your own?
That's a great question. I've always wanted to run my own business, but I ran up against the corporate politics. Frankly, I was pretty good at it. I mean, by the time I was 37, I had 400 people working for me, and I was running commercial ops and transitioning over to reporting and doing all that. But I just wasn't feeling satisfied. I felt like I was doing more. And I put this in my book. I wrote a book called From the Zoo to the Wild, Even the Corporate World and Starting My Own Business.
I love that.
Yeah. And that's what I felt like is that I actually looked at one of my Outlook calendars and I had 40 hours of meetings scheduled, not time, meetings, 40 hours. My time was outside of those 40. That's where I was taking care of things. I color coded them, cover my ass, cover my team, get status, give status. That's all I did. That's all I was doing is I was getting information, covering, getting information, making sure my team was covered, and that's not very fulfilling. This is not what I was looking to do. This wasn't exciting for me. I've always liked working on houses. Now, granted, this was not my first idea, but this is one that I felt I could scale and get up to a position. I had built a business plan. I actually even had 10 years projected on it. Of course, that went out the door in the first year when it was 2008, but it slowed me down a lot. But it's something I really like to do. And I love seeing the finished product that my guys do now today. I just don't get to see it as much anymore being as big as we are.
Do you see yourself expanding outside of Georgia and moving? Like, what's the game plan for the next 5 years?
Yeah, I've been working on, I got a mastermind group I'm part of, and I'm starting to work through the exit strategy. I'm in the first year of my exit strategy. And right now, to put it out there, either I want to be acquired by a company that wants to aggregate this and take it nationally. But I don't personally want to do either the franchising or take it out of state. I do have 2 locations within state, and I'm thinking about opening up a third just to see if I can prove that the model works without me being involved.
What lessons have you learned from building a business plan?
Whew. I'll tell you, and I talk about this in the book too, not to keep pushing that, but one of the things I would say is it's awesome not to build a business plan just to turn in a term paper and get graded on weight and how much you wrote. It was good for me to use it to go out there and have specific conversations with people smarter than me when it came to marketing, branding, operations, financials, and how to put a system together before I got started. So I was able to make all those quote unquote mistakes for free before I started because I made plenty of them after I started.
Well, let me ask you this, with marketing, right? You're coming from the banking world. You're probably getting, I don't know if you're getting leads, but you're managing people. When you get into a handyman business, you got to let people know you're open for business now. What were the first steps? What did you do in marketing? What have you found that works now? And what have you wasted money on that hasn't worked for you?
Woo. Yeah. Well, let's talk about wasting money. You're right. I felt like I had a decent marketing strategy in the beginning. I would say now after 15 years, I would say probably an A marketing strategy. Not to pat myself on the back. Trust me, I can give you all kinds of mistakes I made. When I first started back in 2008, I was told, get in the yellow pages. You got to be, remember the books. You got to be in them. Well, one guy said, hey, I think these things are going away. Just get your name in there. Don't even have to get an ad. That would have been $5,000 a month that I would have done. I didn't. So that was a good thing. But I did do those mailers that come to your house. Those big packs are called Val Pack and Money Mailer.
Yep.
And I spent a lot of money on that stuff, man. Oh boy. And I did not see the return. I'm talking tracking numbers. I remember we sent out 15,000 mailers went out. I literally got 11 calls. I picked up 6 jobs. didn't even cover a quarter of the cost of what we sent.
Wow.
And what I was being told is, oh, it takes repetition, takes repetition. All right. Well, today, I'll tell you, today, if you're a home service company, your Google My Business page better be your number one focus. Don't talk to me about pay-per-click. Don't talk to me about spending $5,000 a month on SEO. Your number one thing has got to be Google My Business. Number two, all right, get your website, get the SEO going. For me, pay-per-click has been hit and miss. It's been good in slower times, like in January, right after the holidays, things are a little slower. Pay-per-click gives us a little jump. Springtime, we basically turn it off because we built up a good reputation. We also have 40% of our business coming from repeat. So the other thing I would tell you is once you start to build up that client base, not start zero, but once you build it up, stay in contact with them. And that's an email newsletter. And it's not pushing your services. It's just, hey, by the way, spring is sprung. Make sure your AC unit, condensate unit is cleaned out. By the way, that's for you down in Florida. You want to make sure it's ready to go so it doesn't back up on you.
Chris, you explained your business earlier. It seems like in the construction business, there's like a two-pronged test, right? There's the labor, and you have to be really good at doing the labor, but then you also have to get the job and manage the job. Can you give the audience some tips? Because there's a lot of HVAC guys out there. There's a lot of roofers. There's a lot of home renovation guys. Can you give those guys some tips? Because you figured out, how do you manage the business of the renovation business? Because like you said very succinctly earlier, if you're good with your hands aren't on the phone or typing away invoices, right? So how do you manage those two worlds?
Yeah, it's another great question. And so what we do is all of our guys have iPads, and on the iPad, it tells them what to do. HVAC companies, the ones that are most progressive, these guys will have technology on their hands as well. If you're not using technology today, you are behind everybody else, and you're just getting along on your word of mouth. And how many times have you heard that, right? Hey, I don't need to advertise, man. I got word of mouth. I got plenty. Well, I got plenty of word of mouth. I get 40% repeat business. But if I'm going to keep growing, I got to do some other things. So back to the business, real simple thing I had to put in place years ago was back when I was paper and pencil, get a signature to start the job, get a signature to end the job, which means you have to walk the job, show the customer what you did. Those two simple things right there show you so many things. One, customer says, okay, I understand what you did. I might not like it. I may call the office and tell them I want something different, but at least you showed me. Two, the guy is proud enough to show off his work instead of kind of sneaking away and go to the next job. He's like, hey, I just did this for you. Check it out. I think it's pretty good. What do you think? And so that simple piece right there would be one. If you don't have it in place, you're missing big. The third thing that I've asked guys to do is ask for reviews. As we talked about, Google is the behemoth. They're trying to get you to stay on their platform as long as they can, and those reviews are huge. I know when a customer takes the time to actually go out, log into their Gmail account, put a Google review in for us, and actually say that we did great work with 5 stars, I know that my guy actually did do the job. Everything he was looking for, and he can walk away feeling very proud about what he did.
Chris, let me ask you your opinion on something. Recently, Ford entered into a joint venture with Salesforce. So when you buy an F-150 pickup truck, you can actually have Salesforce incorporated onto your dashboard. So you could probably send out invoices, send out emails. Is that bells and whistles, or is there some practicality to the contractor, transitioning from his clipboard to his dash? So it's not just holding your coffee, but now it's serving as a sort of quasi-office.
Ooh, that's big. I'd never heard of that one. So that's, in fact, what is funny is that we're doing work for a Salesforce marketing person here. We're actually doing his basement. And he said Salesforce. I'm like, oh, that's just too big for this little guy, man, because it's so expensive. I don't know if that's really interesting. Yes, the answer is something like that has to happen. If you don't have it on your phone, if you're a single HVAC company or electrician, or if you've got 4 or 5 trucks running, which is a predominant group. Like I said, I've got 15 handymen. There's maybe 3 or 4 of us that are that big. Now in HVAC, I know there are guys out there running 50 trucks in some of the metros. So you've got to have technology because it's only going to help you and your team. But that's interesting, the Salesforce. But definitely being able to run out of your truck is huge. You got to be able to do that, which I didn't.
What do you say to the lone wolf out there that likes being the lone wolf? He doesn't want an economy of scale. He doesn't want to answer to anyone. And if he takes on one job at a time, it's fine, as long as he can provide for his family. Like, what is the counter argument to the lone wolf just remaining lonely?
So he could stay there and do what he's doing. We only have so many friends and family, and again, the friends are going to refer another friend. But if they just did something simple enough as just sending out and using a pretty simple software, there's some off-the-shelf software, just staying in touch with people. Hey, you need some pine straw laid here in the South, or, I'm in your area next week and I'm working on some drywall. If you need some more drywall fixed, let me know, whatever that special may be.
Fortunately for a lot of them, the last few years have been really good for them, but it's not going to stay that way.
So you actually just hit on it. You said, hey, State of the Union. Yeah, it's good. But what's going to happen is there's going to be a bigger premium put in customer service, trust, and insurance. Meaning, not that they have insurance, that I'm going to ensure that you're not going to hit that drywall pipe, and you're not going to hit that pipe behind that drywall and basically run out of my garage and hit the road and never come back. So people are looking for a little more of that, and that's going to start to put these guys in a tougher position because they aren't going to be doing as much in the home. Things may get a little tighter on people and their numbers and their money, and they're going to go for insurance, and that's where it's going to start to hurt again. But you're right.
Totally agree with you. I can't tell you how many stories that I've heard from people that have a lot of people pay for jobs all up front, which I probably would never do, but pay big deposits and people never come back.
I cannot believe
dozens and dozens of stories.
In today's world. I just heard this story a month ago. Guy says, he works up in the mountains here in Georgia, and he's part of our national group, and he came in for a meeting. And he said, I'm picking up behind the guy. They paid this guy 100% to build this garage, and then the guy left. I'm like, who in the hell pays 100% up front today? I'm like, You got it. I said, give me their number. No, I'm kidding. But
listen, having a decent deposit is fine, because what most people don't realize is that when you're doing a job, you have costs, right? You have to go out and buy these materials, right? And one thing that we see, because we're in the financial space and we lend a lot of money to contractors, handyman service companies, is they never manage their cash flow properly, right? A lot of them even don't know their numbers or their margins on the job, and that's where they wind up getting themselves in trouble, because like you said, they're really good with their hands, but they don't know the business of business.
I've been at this for 15 years. And just 6 months ago, I had a cash flow problem. I saw it coming. I was able to manage through it, but we had some finance jobs that weren't done yet. I had some guys who hadn't been doing a good job collecting on some of those upfront deposits. And what we talk about here is I can't finance the customer's project. I'm not a bank. So I need them to finance their own project. So yeah, we do ask for deposits when we're going out to order things, or when we first start doing the demolition on a house. And yes, it's messy. We start that process, but we ask for money when we start to cover that next whatever period of time to get us to the next draw. Now that's accepted. This 100% upfront thing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
What's your opinion on those like monthly subscription services for homeowners where they pay X amount per month, but if they get, the leak or the plumbing problem or the clogged toilet, the vendor will come in and do X work based upon that monthly subscription?
So I've heard about these. I think they have some validity, but right now the problem again is in your home. If I'm good in your home, and I'm pretty good, but I've been in over 15,000 houses myself, either doing estimates, doing quality control, actually doing some of the work in the beginning. I'm not good at everything. So with those subscription services, who are they getting to come in and do your job? Because if you say, Chris, my HVAC just went out, can you come fix it? I'm like, actually, I can't. I don't even know how. But I'll give you my HVAC guy. So we got the network. So the subscription services, the way at least they're playing out, and I don't think people saw the value, but I do think one of the big things that's going to happen is that customer experience is going to begin to trump quality. Is that, you know what? I wanted to tell everybody how good you guys were and go out to Instagram and share a picture of my new bathroom, but this project took 6 weeks and you told me it was going to take 4 weeks. And they're like, no, we said it was 4 to 6 weeks. Yeah, well, there was that 1 week you didn't do anything. Well, that was the what? But we didn't have your vanity yet. And this is a true story. And she said, yeah, I just didn't feel good about the process. And I'm looking at this and like, she picked the vanity got back order. She picked the plumbing came in wrong. We had to get it. We finally jumped in to help her. But yet the perception was you guys didn't do it right. So we did do it right. We did fix it. We did do the right thing, but you've got to manage that customer experience. And that's what I told my project manager. You did everything right, but you just figured you picked up her her mistake and just went with it. You were waiting for the thank you, but you didn't tell her the impacts to what her problem was, which is it's going to take an extra week now because we got to get this stuff.
Chris, do you think your trade needs like a brand ambassador, like Chris, like the Jolly Green Giant? You need someone warm and fuzzy just to go out there and give the construction industry a good name again.
Yeah. So so if you can get me in touch with Mike Rowe, I want him to be that guy for me. 30 Jobs, right? I actually tried to get him to at least acknowledge my book. I couldn't find a way to get in with his people, but yeah, I think, if you remember back in the 90s, and if you're too young, there was a show called Tool Time.
Well, yeah, of course.
And so now Al is out there promoting some of the flooring brands here nationally. So do we need one? Yeah, but one of the things especially is right now you got done talking to me, and you're going to go out there. And how many times have you just said, hey, to your buddies, your network, hey, I need somebody to come in and redo my bathroom. So the national guy isn't the one you're looking for. You're looking for that local guy because you think the local guy, you want to give back a little bit. And that's the way we've been trained and brought up. And so what I'm trying to explain is that we're still the local guy, but we got a better customer experience mantra behind us.
Yeah, everything you're telling me right now, I just know your company is going to continue to expand because I think there really is a need for it. And if I were you, I would start a subscription-based system, right? $50 a month, $100 a month, and you have somebody go out there once a quarter and you change those air conditioning filters for them. You do this for them. You do the easy jobs for them. But you may not make a lot of money off it, but it keeps you top of mind, right? And you're advertising, right? You're always at the house. And trust me, I know how this goes. Hey, I'm here to fix this, but did you notice this isn't right too? Do you want me to fix that as well? So the upsell is always right there.
Yeah, absolutely.
My father always told me, he was a mechanic. He said, have you ever gone to an auto shop and the mechanic told you, no, the car's working fine, everything is cool, have a great day?
Oh. Well, this thing was happening and it doesn't happen there. They're like, well, I don't see this happening. However, this is not working over here, so let's get that fixed, right?
Chris, we really appreciate your time and we want to be respectful of it. Can you tell the audience how they can get in touch with you, find your company, and go find your book as well?
Yeah, well, I actually just created a website called chrislalomia.com where you can see all the brands I have, everything from the Trusted Toolbox to my book, to my other company called the Home Service Institute, where we train people on customer experience in your company. You can always find me on Instagram and LinkedIn. I'm out there on Instagram as the customerservice.freak. So just to kind of put a little edge to it, yeah, for fun. But yeah, no, always find me out there. There's not many of those Lalomias out there, so if you can spell it, you can find me.
Chris, thank you. One question before I let you run. What do you find to be one of the biggest pet peeves in your industry?
Biggest pet peeves in our industry, I gotta believe, from a customer perspective, it's that lack of communication. Today, we're all fast, we're all busy, we all have those magic mobile devices in our hands, and I don't care if you're a stay-at-home mom or you're a retired person, you've got that phone in your hand and not being communicated with, immediately people go to that negative space. Because of today, while I was on this podcast with you, I just got texted by my wife. I'm sure those 15 minutes just passed by. She's sitting there going, what is that SOB doing now?
Chris, thank you so much for being here with us. Guys, that's a wrap for the Liquid Lunch Project. We'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you for listening to the show. And make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend. We'll see you on the next episode of the Liquid Lunch Project.